know, brethren, that the things which happened to me have actually turned out for the furtherance of the gospel, so that it has become evident to the whole palace guard and to all the rest that my chains are in Christ, and most of the brethren in the Lord, having become confident by my chains, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Paul is expressing the fact, hey, this suffering that I have faced, I've gone through hardships. I've been imprisoned. I've been part of shipwrecks. I've had to appeal myself before court to free myself. And ultimately, sharing the gospel leads to Paul's death. But what Paul wants us to understand from verse 12, at this point in time, he is in prison. Whenever he wrote this letter, he was in prison. He's like, I want you to know what is happening to me has gone for the furtherance of the gospel. And this, in my opinion, is one of the most important things that we need to realize as believers, which is the fact that suffering is going to happen in our lives. We will suffer. But as Paul says in Romans 8, the glory that is on the other side, the glory that will be revealed to us is far greater than the suffering we will face. And Paul understood that. In this letter, Paul is talking about the fact, all that's going on with me, I've faced all this stuff, but it has gone for the furtherance of the gospel. This is a good point that we need to understand in our lives, is the fact that just because we're going through hard times, that doesn't mean, man, the gospel's not real. It doesn't mean this isn't going to further the gospel. Because our suffering can lead to someone else believing. Our suffering and continuing walking in our faith shows someone else, man, that God is worth believing in. And Paul is acknowledging that here, while I am in prison, this is going for the furtherance of the gospel. Because of the suffering I'm going through, that I can still show faith. The whole palace guard, he says the whole palace guard now knows that my chains are in Christ. He's been given another ministry to share the gospel. We need to take this. Any hardship that's going on in your life, don't see it as a hardship. Don't see it as something that is bad that's going on in your life. Remember, James 1:2-4 talks about the fact that find it pure joy when we face trials and tribulations. We need to understand that these trials, these tribulations, these things that we face are meant to, one, help us grow, but also it helps us show our faith. It shows our faith to God. It shows, God, I trust you in this trial. But it also shows others, hey, if they are able to worship this God through this that they are going through, it must be a God that is worth worshiping.